Meri Brown has just detonated a financial truth bomb so massive that it completely shatters everything fans believed about the Browns' so-called equal family system. The money from her Las Vegas home, a house she paid for entirely on her own, didn't go toward her own future security. Instead, it was funneled straight into Robyn Brown's luxury mansion in Flagstaff. Sit with that for a second. For years, viewers watched Meri scrape by, moving from rental to rental while Robyn upgraded her living situation again and again. And now, the reason behind that imbalance is finally crystal clear. This wasn't unfortunate timing. This wasn't careless budgeting. This was a calculated transfer of wealth from one wife to another. And Meri has finally decided she's done keeping quiet about it. When the truth began to surface, it hit fans like a gut punch. According to people close to Meri, she was expected to sign non-disclosure agreements regarding how the family's finances were actually managed. In other words, she was pressured into silence while Robyn enjoyed a lifestyle built on money Meri herself had earned. But now, Meri has drawn a line, and what she's revealing is nothing short of devastating. One insider didn't sugarcoat it at all, saying Meri effectively bankrolled Robyn's entire Flagstaff life and received absolutely nothing in return. The hypocrisy becomes impossible to ignore when you remember how loudly the family preached fairness and equality among the wives. Robyn Brown, the last woman to join the family, the one who arrived with debt and chaos, ended up in a mansion valued at over $900,000. Meanwhile, Meri, who was there from the very beginning, who even gave up her legal marriage so Robyn could be officially brought into the family, was left renting on the sidelines. And now we know the most painful part of all. Meri's own money helped make Robyn's lavish lifestyle possible. When you step back and look at the full picture, the nerve of this arrangement is staggering. Longtime Sister Wives viewers are now experiencing a mix of validation and outrage. For years, they felt something was off, that Robyn consistently benefited in ways the other wives never did. They watched Christine walk away. They saw Janelle slowly detach. They witnessed Meri trapped in a painful state of obligation without affection. Now, the financial receipts are finally coming to light, and they reveal favoritism and manipulation far deeper than anyone initially realized. This was never a family operating on shared values. It was a system structured to serve two people at everyone else's expense. The real mic drop moment came when Meri plainly explained how the proceeds from her Vegas home sale were rerouted to cover Robyn's mansion purchase. No vague language, no dodging responsibility. She was clear, precise, and unmistakably done protecting people who had never protected her. Even the tell-all host Sukanya was reportedly stunned, and frankly, so was everyone else listening. This is the kind of financial betrayal that would end most marriages and tear apart most families. And now, it's all out in the open. For years, the Browns portrayed themselves as a united family with shared finances. Everyone contributing to one pot, everyone benefiting equally. Kody repeated this idea constantly on Sister Wives, insisting that the system ensured fairness and prevented any wife from being left behind. On the surface, it sounded reasonable, even admirable. But as Meri's revelations now make painfully obvious, the ideal and the reality were worlds apart. Because when you strip away the talking points and look at the outcome, this equal system resulted in Robyn living in a sprawling Flagstaff mansion, complete with a guest house, while others were left behind. Meri rented, Janelle rented, and Christine, who clearly learned the hard lesson that renting meant walking away with nothing, eventually bought her own place just to stop bleeding money. 3 wives were scrambling to stay afloat while one wife lived in comfort and excess. And we're expected to believe this setup was fair. Please, the numbers never added up. They never have. And now, we finally understand why. People familiar with the family's finances describe a system that looked legitimate on paper but fell apart in practice. One insider explained that the so-called shared pot absolutely existed. But where that money ended up was completely dictated by Kody, and his priorities weren't subtle. Another source said it was like watching money flow in a single direction every time. Toward Robyn. Always Robyn. Each transfer was justified with a reason, an excuse, or a narrative that conveniently made it seem necessary. The other wives were expected to contribute consistently, but when it came time to benefit, the returns were anything but equal. What makes all of this even more crushing is realizing how long this imbalance continued without being publicly challenged. Meri stayed quiet for years. She watched Robyn move from one expensive home to an even bigger, more lavish one. And while she struggled herself, she swallowed her frustration during family meetings, during filming, during moments where speaking up could have changed everything. The fact that Meri was pressured to sign non-disclosure agreements says more than words ever could. You don't demand silence unless you already know. The truth won't survive. Scrutiny, the gap between what viewers were shown and what was actually happening behind closed doors, is jaw-dropping. Sister Wives sold audiences the illusion of plural marriage as a beautiful exchange of sacrifice and shared purpose. What was really happening was far uglier. Some wives gave up everything. While one wife absorbed all the benefits, Meri's money quite literally built Robyn's dream home. Sit with that. The wife who was emotionally discarded, pushed to the outskirts of her own family, was simultaneously financing the lifestyle of the woman who replaced her in Kody's heart. And as shocking as that sounds, it's only the surface of a much darker reality, because once you dig into the specifics of how Meri's Vegas home sale money ended up in Robyn's hands, the situation becomes even more infuriating. The Las Vegas property reveals a level of financial manipulation that's almost hard to believe. The details Meri has now shared paint a devastating picture of how Kody truly operated within this marriage. Meri paid for everything connected to that house. Every mortgage payment came from her income. Every repair, every improvement, every dollar spent turning that property into a home was hers alone. And yet, when the house was sold, Kody's name was right there on the deed, giving him legal entitlement to half the proceeds. Despite contributing nothing, let's be clear about what that actually means. Meri worked. She earned the money. She built the equity through years of effort and sacrifice. And when the time came, Kody simply stepped in and claimed his share, because the paperwork allowed it. One source described it as financial abuse wrapped in the language of family unity. Another called it watching someone's labor get siphoned away in slow motion, all while being told it was for the greater good. Even the tell-all host reportedly struggled to hide her shock when Meri detailed exactly what Kody demanded from the Vegas sale. The reaction was raw and unmistakable, the kind of stunned silence that proves even those well-versed in Brown family chaos weren't prepared for this level of entitlement. Kody apparently believed he was fully entitled to profits from a house. He never contributed a single dollar toward his justification. They were married, and everything was shared. Funny how that sharing philosophy only ever seemed to kick in when it worked in Kody and Robyn's favor. What actually happened to the Vegas sale money tells the real story behind the Brown family's finances. That cash didn't land in some neutral family fund meant to be distributed fairly. It didn't go toward developing Coyote Pass for everyone's future. Instead, it was funneled straight into the purchase of a Flagstaff mansion, a home Kody and Robyn would live in while Meri was left with nothing after years of making payments. Let's talk numbers. Roughly $900,000. That's the price tag on Robyn's Flagstaff mansion. And Meri's Vegas home proceeds played a key role in making that purchase possible. The paper trail is brutal, and according to Meri, it's fully documented. She isn't speaking in vague terms or tossing out emotional accusations. She has receipts, actual figures, clear transactions, specific moments where she watched her hard-earned money rerouted to support someone else's luxury. Fans who long questioned how Robyn could afford such an extravagant home while the family constantly claimed financial strain now finally have their answer. She could afford it because other wives, especially Meri, were unknowingly and unwillingly financing it. But here's where the story gets even more infuriating. That mansion purchase only happened because of Robyn's inability to find a rental that met her exact standards. And the way that situation unfolded exposes yet another layer of favoritism that's hard to ignore. When the family moved to Flagstaff, every wife faced the same challenge: finding a place to live in a new city. Janelle found a rental. Meri found a rental. They did what most people do, took what was available and made it work. Practical, reasonable. Robyn, however, operated under an entirely different set of expectations. According to sources, she couldn't find a single rental in all of Flagstaff that met her requirements. Not one. Let that really sink in. an entire city of available rentals, and none were good enough for Robyn Brown. While the other wives settled into workable homes without theatrics, Robyn needed something specific, something special, something that conveniently could only be achieved by purchasing a house. And who pushed hardest for that outcome? Kody, every time, advocating relentlessly for Robyn, while the other wives were expected to simply adapt. One insider described the rental search as more performance than effort. According to them, Robyn went through the motions of looking at properties with no real intention of renting, if buying was an option. Another source said Kody framed the purchase as though Robyn needed persuading, as if she was doing the family a favor by agreeing to buy a home using shared funds. Let me translate that. Robyn wanted a house. Kody wanted Robyn to have whatever she wanted. The purchase was presented as a necessity, when it was really a preference from the very beginning. The contrast between Robyn and the other wives couldn't be clearer. Janelle rented a perfectly adequate home. Nothing luxurious, nothing ideal, just functional. Meri did the same, accepting what was available without demanding the family stretch its finances to suit her preferences. Christine eventually bought her own place, but only after learning the hard way that years of renting left her with nothing when it was time to move on. Only Robyn required special treatment, and only Robyn received it. What makes this even harder to stomach is that all of this was happening during a time when the family repeatedly claimed they were under extreme financial pressure. Kody spent years talking about financial strain. He constantly warned about the difficulty of supporting multiple households, about tightening belts, about everyone needing to sacrifice for the greater good. And yet, somehow, all of those concerns vanished the moment Robyn's housing needs entered the conversation. Suddenly, money wasn't an obstacle. Suddenly, the family could afford to stretch. Suddenly, sacrifice took on an entirely different meaning, as long as it was for the favored wife. And let's be clear, the home Robyn initially bought in Flagstaff wasn't some modest compromise. It was a sizable property in a desirable location, exactly the kind of house someone purchases when finances are not a limiting factor. But here's the part fans are only now fully grasping, and it's infuriating. That first Flagstaff home didn't last long. It was eventually sold so Robyn could upgrade to an even larger mansion, complete with a guest house, which means Meri's Vegas money didn't just help fund one luxury home. It helped fund two. The mansion upgrade scandal may be the most blatant example of financial favoritism in the entire Brown family history. And once you understand the details, it's impossible not to be outraged. Robyn's first Flagstaff house, the one bought because no rental met her standards, was eventually deemed inadequate, so the family sold it. And then they purchased an even more expensive property, a full-scale mansion with a separate guest house, a feature Robyn apparently needed, for reasons that were never clearly explained. Here's what that means in real terms. Meri's Vegas home sale helped make Robyn's initial purchase possible. That home was then sold, and the equity from that sale, equity built partly with Meri's money, was rolled directly into the purchase of an even more expensive mansion. Meri effectively financed two homes for her sister wife while walking away with absolutely nothing herself. She watched years of her hard-earned income turn into luxury real estate she would never live in, never benefit from, and never see any return on. The audacity of it all is hard to overstate. People close to the family say the mansion upgrade was the breaking point, even for longtime defenders of the Browns. One insider said there was simply no way to justify a wife upgrading to a mansion with a guest house, while other wives were still renting or struggling financially. Another described it as watching a wealth transfer unfold in real time, with everyone pretending it was just normal family behavior. These weren't jealous outsiders stirring drama. These were insiders who could no longer ignore the blatant favoritism playing out in front of them. And fans, they noticed. The reaction to the double upgrade was swift and brutal. Social media lit up with outrage over how Robyn managed to live like royalty, while the family continued preaching shared values and collective sacrifice. Viewers who had watched Meri unravel emotionally and financially in recent seasons suddenly saw the full picture. Meri wasn't just dealing with emotional rejection from Kody. She was watching her own money bankroll his new life with another woman. That isn't plural marriage, that's financial exploitation dressed up as faith and family. The guest house detail, in particular, sent longtime viewers over the edge. What exactly was Robyn using a guest house for? Who was staying there while Meri rented modest places and lived on the margins? The sheer excess, the unnecessary luxury, while other wives went without, says everything about how this family truly functioned. Robyn got a mansion. Robyn got a guest house. Meri got nothing except the bill. But when Robyn was finally confronted about these financial arrangements, she attempted a defense so flimsy it only made the situation worse. And Meri's response to that defense? Absolutely brutal. Robyn's entire justification rested on one claim she clearly believed would absolve her of any wrongdoing. According to her, Kody paid the insurance on the Vegas property, which, in her mind, meant he contributed. And if he contributed, then he deserved a share of the proceeds. It's the kind of argument that almost sounds reasonable for about 3 seconds. And Meri didn't even give it that long before tearing it apart completely. Meri's rebuttal was devastating precisely because it was so simple. Mortgage payments already include insurance. When you pay a mortgage, you're covering principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, all bundled together. Which means that every single mortgage payment Meri made on that Vegas house already included the insurance Robyn claimed Kody paid separately. In other words, the defense wasn't just weak, it was flat out wrong, and Meri dismantled it with the kind of calm precision that only comes from someone who has been sitting on proof for years. One source close to the situation described Robyn's insurance argument as painful to watch. According to them, it became immediately clear that Robyn either didn't understand how mortgage payments work, or worse, was hoping no one else did. Another insider didn't mince words, calling it the kind of excuse a child makes when caught red-handed. Obvious. Transparent. Instantly disproven. And the fact that this was Robyn's strongest defense says everything about how indefensible the arrangement actually was. Once that argument collapsed, there was no justification left standing. If Kody didn't contribute to the down payment, didn't cover the monthly payments, and didn't even pay the insurance he claimed to handle, then on what possible grounds was he entitled to half the sale proceeds? The answer is painfully simple. He wasn't. He took the money because the system allowed him to, and Meri was expected to quietly accept it. What makes this exchange even more revealing is what it says about Robyn's awareness of the situation. She felt compelled to defend it, which means she knew it looked bad. She tried to justify Kody's cut because she understood justification was necessary. You don't scramble for explanations when something is truly fair. You only reach for excuses when you know the truth won't hold up. Robyn's weak defense wasn't just ineffective. It was an unintentional admission that she knew Meri had been treated unfairly. And as outrageous as all of this already is, the hypocrisy becomes impossible to ignore when you compare how Meri's money was handled to how the family reacted when Christine tried to keep proceeds from her own home sale. When Christine Brown decided to leave Kody and sell her Flagstaff house, the reaction was immediate, and telling Kody publicly complained that Christine's sale money should go back into the family pot. He insisted that proceeds from any family property belonged to everyone, not just the wife, whose name was on the deed. Sound familiar? It should, because that rule apparently only applied when it benefited him. Let's spell out the contradiction clearly. Meri's Vegas money was taken without resistance and redirected to fund Robyn's mansion, twice, and Kody had no problem with that. But when Christine wanted to keep the money from her own home sale, suddenly shared finances became sacred. Meri gave without being asked. Christine wasn't given a choice. She was pressured into giving. The only thing that changed was which wife the money was taken from and which wife it was handed to. In order to keep the proceeds from her own home sale, Christine was forced to give up her stake in Coyote Pass. Pause on that for a second. She had to surrender her claim to land that was supposed to represent the family's shared future just to hold on to money that was rightfully hers. Meri never got that option. No negotiations, no discussion, no trade-off. Her money was simply absorbed into Robyn's real estate purchases while she remained silent, constrained by expectations and non-disclosure agreements. People close to the situation described the negotiations surrounding Christine's exit as tense, And deeply revealing, one insider said Kody's insistence that Christine's money belonged to the family was almost laughable, considering he had already redirected another wife's money without hesitation or concern. Another source pointed out that the unequal treatment laid bare what many had long suspected. The so-called family finance rules existed to serve Kody and Robyn, not to protect all wives equally. The double standard wasn't subtle, it was brazen. Side by side, the comparison is damning. Meri's money flowed freely to Robyn. Christine's money became a battlefield when she tried to leave. Family principles were invoked only when it suited those in power. This wasn't a system built on fairness. It was a system designed to extract maximum value from wives who had fallen out of favor, while shielding the resources of the ones who hadn't. And nothing illustrates this pattern more clearly, or more painfully, than the situation involving Meri's grandmother's house. That moment crystallized everything wrong with how Meri was treated financially. And when you compare it to Robyn's experience, the contrast is heartbreaking. When Meri wanted to buy her grandmother's home, a property filled with personal history and emotional meaning, the family offered zero support. No shared funds, no creative solutions, no willingness to help a wife who had spent years contributing to the collective pool. Meri had to finance the entire purchase on her own. She secured her own down payment. She qualified for her own mortgage. She handled every detail without any family assistance. And this wasn't a random investment or a luxury purchase. It was her grandmother's house, a piece of her past, something deeply personal that went far beyond real estate value, and yet the family that preached shared sacrifice couldn't spare a single dollar to help her. Sources close to Meri say this was the moment everything finally became clear. One insider described how painful it was to watch her struggle for financing while knowing Robyn had open access to family funds. Another revealed that Meri explicitly asked for help and was told the money wasn't available, all while Robyn was in the process of upgrading to a mansion with a guest house. The cruelty is so blatant, it almost feels unreal. The contrast deserves to be stated plainly, because it's that damning. Robyn couldn't find a rental she liked, so the family bought her a house. Robyn decided that house wasn't good enough, so the family bought her a mansion. Meri wanted to buy her grandmother's home using resources she had helped build, and she was told to handle it alone. Unlimited money for Robyn's preferences. Nothing for Meri's deeply personal need. That is not equality by any definition. What makes this betrayal cut even deeper is the fact that Meri spent years contributing to the family pool without complaint. She worked. She earned. She fed money into a system that was supposed to support everyone equally, and when she finally needed that system to work for her, just once, for something that truly mattered, the system suddenly had nothing to give. The money wasn't available, she was left to handle it alone, and yet somehow, the family funds never seemed to run dry when Robyn needed something. But the most revealing detail of all may be the existence of non-disclosure agreements, and what those agreements expose about how aware Kody and Robyn were that this entire system was deeply unfair. The revelation that Meri was expected to sign NDAs regarding how family finances were handled might be the most damning piece of this entire scandal. You don't require silence unless you know the truth would look ugly if exposed. You don't lock financial arrangements behind legal agreements unless you understand they would spark outrage if made public. The very existence of these NDAs proves that Kody and Robyn knew exactly what they were doing and how wrong it was. Let's be absolutely clear about what this means. Kody and Robyn understood that redirecting Meri's money to bankroll their mansion purchases was indefensible. They knew that treating the other wives as financial contributors, while protecting resources for themselves, would not survive public scrutiny. And instead of fixing the imbalance or creating fairer systems, they chose a different solution. Silence. That is not the behavior of people who believe they are acting ethically. That is the behavior of people who know they are exploiting others. Sources say Meri was repeatedly pressured to sign agreements that would prevent her from ever discussing the family's financial arrangements. One insider described the pressure as relentless, with clear implications that refusing would cause serious problems for her within the family structure. Another said the NDAs were framed as being about privacy, when in reality, they existed to shield Kody and Robyn from accountability. The manipulation was calculated and layered. Meri's declaration that she is done staying quiet marks a major turning point. For years, She kept her silence out of loyalty, out of hope things might change, and out of the complicated mix of obligation and fear that kept her compliant. But watching Robyn live comfortably, funded by Meri's own money, while she struggled appears to have been the breaking point. Her silence wasn't protecting herself. It was protecting people who never protected her. And now, she's done. What comes next should genuinely worry Kody and Robyn. If the financial arrangements were damaging enough to require NDAs, what else has been hidden behind them? What other betrayals, manipulations, or examples of favoritism and exploitation might now come to light? With Meri finally speaking freely, the floodgates are open, and there's no telling what will surface next. That said, the chances of real accountability seem slim. Based on everything we know about how Kody and Robyn operate, admitting wrongdoing or making genuine amends appears unlikely. Deflection has always been their go-to response. They blame circumstances. They blame other wives. They blame anyone and anything except themselves. At the heart of this scandal lies a level of broken trust that can't be overstated. Meri Brown funded Robyn's luxury lifestyle and received absolutely nothing in return. She watched money she earned through her own labor turn into mansions and guest houses she would never live in. She was expected to pretend everything was fair, to stay quiet, to ignore the favoritism surrounding her every single day. And through it all, she was treated as an afterthought by the husband she married decades ago and by the family she sacrificed so much for. If you want help tightening this for pacing, adding a closing punch, or structuring it for YouTube retention, just say the word. You've got a very strong script here. The pattern is so consistent that expecting genuine accountability from them would require ignoring years of clear evidence. More likely, Robyn will continue insisting she never asked for special treatment, all while residing in a mansion financed with another wife's money. Kody, meanwhile, will probably keep claiming the financial system was fair without ever explaining how that fairness produced outcomes that were so drastically unequal. Fans have been calling for accountability for years, and those calls have only grown louder as more information comes to light. One concern viewers raise again and again is the impact this had on the children. They watched their mothers be treated differently. They saw resources consistently flow toward one household, while others struggled. They grew up in a family that preached love and sacrifice, yet functioned as a system of imbalance and exploitation. What lessons did they absorb from that? What idea of fairness, partnership, or trust could possibly develop under those conditions? The damage reaches far beyond the wives themselves. What remains to be seen now is whether public exposure is enough, or whether Meri may pursue something more tangible. Legal action to recover money that was effectively taken from her under deeply questionable circumstances is not out of the question. The documentation exists. The financial trail is there. A court could very well examine how Kody claimed proceeds from a property he never paid for, and determine that the arrangement was legally suspect, regardless of any informal family agreements. But there is also a different kind of justice, the power of truth itself. Meri has laid bare the Brown family's financial system for what it truly was, a mechanism designed to drain resources from wives who had fallen out of favor and funnel them toward the wife who held Kody's attention. She didn't just hint at betrayal. She documented it, named it, and shared it with a public that always suspected something was wrong but never had proof. That exposure may be justice enough, even if no money is ever recovered. Robyn will continue living in her mansion knowing the world understands exactly how it was paid for. Kody will face questions about his behavior for the rest of his public life. And Meri, finally, no longer has to carry secrets meant to protect people who never protected her. The truth is out, and for the first time, she gets to live with it fully told.